Borders are a really interesting way to add detail to your journal pages, but today I'm going to do something a little bit different with mine. Hey, it's Meg, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing day 18 of the Junk Journal January challenge. Our prompt for today is borders, and when I turned to this page in my journal and I saw that I had this glassine bag that I had used on one of the pages, I just had this brainwave and thought, what if I cut the page and just cut out the whole entire middle and use it as a border page? So rather than adding a border to my page, what if I just made the page the border and have that be like a layered element? So what I did there was I just traced with a pencil where I wanted to cut out, and then used my scissors to chop out the bit in the middle, as you can see. And then I'm just adding some scrap brown paper here underneath so that I can start working on my border. So I was thinking about the faux washi strips that I've been loving to use in my junk journal pages lately, and so I'm following a similar technique or like style when I'm doing this. So I'm using some gel matte medium here to apply the papers to this border, just because I really wanted to make sure that everything was sealed in. So normally I use a glue stick, but I just wanted to make sure, because this is going to sort of move around as an element on my journal, I wanted to make sure that it was all nice and secure. So all I'm doing is taking some different scraps, some like music sheet paper and all different bits and pieces. I think I pull out like some scrapbook paper that I've sort of peeled, and you can, if you ever so carefully get the edge, you can peel it and have it be a little bit thinner if you just want to use that pattern. But I'm basically just sort of raiding my pile of paper scraps, and I'm building up my border in this way. So it's a scrappy border as well, and it's definitely in the colours that I normally like, and I just had fun with putting it together really. So I started off with some plainer elements here, so I've got some like tea-dyed papers that I'd previously done, and I'm just sort of spreading them out and starting to build up a bit of a base. And I think the interesting thing about this being on like a glassine, more translucent paper as well, is that I didn't need to necessarily cover the whole thing. So I'm letting little bits peek out here and there, and then also not so much, but you can kind of see from the reverse as well, some elements sort of peeking through, different bits of text and things. But I was mainly focused on the front side here and building up my border, and I just think this was such an interesting way to create a page, and it's definitely something that you can do. You don't have to do it as a whole page. You could even maybe do it separately as an element to then add into your journaling, so creating a frame for a photo or something like that. It's definitely something you can apply in that sense as well. It doesn't have to be as drastic as I've done and just, the border is the entire page, but it just felt like such a fun opportunity to push a little bit in terms of different ways of using the prompts on the pages of my journal. So you'll notice that on the left hand side I didn't really do anything to that page, so that's something that I will probably work on with tomorrow's prompt, and it will be interesting to see how the pages around this one sort of interact, because I'll have to think about the color schemes and things like that. And then obviously when it comes to working on the page underneath this border page, I'll have to think slightly about how different parts will peek through, because obviously now I've just got like a gaping hole in my journal. Essentially I've just cut a huge hole in my journal, guys. Last challenge I did that really drastic thing and I tore it in half. This time I'm cutting holes in it, so I just feel like there's always a surprise when it comes to these daily junk journal videos. And maybe it's something about it being like the middle of the challenge. I'm like, right, let's just let's do something really funky and just see if we can make it work. But I think I was really pleased actually with the sort of concept and how it turned out. So I hope that you guys find it interesting and maybe want to try it in your own journals. I think it's a really fun way to add some different elements to your page. So I'm using some book text here. This is the scrapbook piece of paper that you can see I'm just sort of peeling away at the backing there, because with this being a glassine page, I didn't want it to be too thick, because then it would kind of be weighted unevenly, and I was trying to think about how I could make sure that it was all balanced, not only visually but also with the weight of the papers that I was adding as well. So I'm trying to really spread it out, and you can see there I'm sort of dotting the pinks around in different places as well to sort of start that colour story, because I definitely went down the neutral route, as I always do, but I did want to bring in some colour. And it was just really interesting because I'm essentially working on a really small and slim space in terms of, you know, the scale of this page, and so it was interesting to think about where I wanted to place certain things and how I wanted to build up this page. It feels weird calling it a page, but yeah, essentially that's what I was doing, was sort of building up the collage here. And I think I could get away with it feeling a little bit more busy and like a bit of a cluster, because I had that breathing room of it not being an entire page. So I was able to add some really interesting layers and different elements going on throughout the border that I was creating. And then I'm just adding some extra gel matte medium here over the edge, just to really make sure that it was all nice and secure on this page. And then what I did was I cut off the excess, because as you can see there, I've kind of got some weird things going on around there, the border. So just on the edges, I chopped off the excess, but the pieces that were ever so slightly, like the little torn edges poking over the edge of the inner border, I actually left those, because I think that they added a nice touch to that part of the page. So you can see there just along the bottom, in those areas I just sort of left them as is, and I think they added a nice little bit of charm. So to add a bit more colour, I also came in with some washi tapes, and I really love this blue tape, so I added some little strips of that here and there. think stapling this tag to the border page in this way was a really fun way to add some journaling to this page and helped to bring the entire thing together. So it kind of feels a little bit like a skeleton page, but I think it's a really interesting concept and something that I am definitely looking forward to exploring further in my other journals. But I'm just adding some final details here, some mark making. I can't resist adding little scribbles here and there to finish off my pages. I just love the way that it looks and it fills in some of those blank spaces as well. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you as always for hanging out with me and for journaling along with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!